And we're live.
Boy.
Yay. Sean's already here. Shut up, Sean.
Yeah, shut up, Sean.
How is he so bad? He's
So,
always there.
all right. Viewers are here. So I'm here with Nick Jackson, finally.
Hello, boys
You streamed a couple months ago with me. You
and
joined
girls.
briefly.
And
but-
how could I be racist?
Or sexist.
And today we're going to be ranking the King Kong films.
Yep.
'Cause we did this, like, how many months ago we do this on your channel?
Yeah, we did this on my channel. I think it was almost a year ago, but I ended up
Lovely.
having to delete the video because it was so badly pixelated that it was just almost unwatchable. So I was just like, I'm going to get rid of this and we'll just do it again on a later date.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, is now.
Yes. So you've just come back. So I'll let you maybe advertise what's going on with you for a bit in your channel plans.
Yes, I did. I came back after a 8-month-long hiatus. Most of it was unintentional, though some of it was intentional because I felt like at the time I just needed a break. But mostly life just gets in the way. I've gone through some stuff, but I'm getting better and I'm bouncing back. And I have made my return on my channel, and all my fans should be expecting a lot of really good content on the way in the coming months.
That's exciting.
As my wife gets nasty in the background.
All right. No distractions, Nick. What the hell? Come on. Let me find on my list. All right. So I guess you're the guest this time, so I guess you could start the list. So yeah, we've 8.
Alrighty, so ranking all the King Kong films. Now, I feel like that we should both say that we are ranking all these movies on personal taste.
Yes.
There's not going to be any objectiveness, because if that was going to be the case, our list would be the exact same as everyone else's. This is
probably
purely on personal preference, and it's exclusively my opinion and also Ryan's opinion. Anybody who has an issue with that, go watch another video that more suits your standards. Of course, my attitude towards films has not changed whatsoever. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. So that being said, at number 8, at the very bottom of the list of King Kong films, comes arguably, in my opinion, probably the most forgettable, the most dull, there it is, and most uninteresting, and that is 1986's King Kong Lives. What else can I really say about King Kong Lives that has not been said already? King Kong Lives is the sequel to the 76 remake that really nobody asked for, the sequel that nobody wanted to do except maybe De Laurentiis. The cast is they have some decent actors in the film, but they just all look so bored and they all look so disinterested. Even except for maybe Linda Hamilton, I guess she kind of tries in the film, but other than her, everyone else just kind of feels like they're just phoning it in for a paycheck. King Kong himself is pretty generic, I guess, at this point. He doesn't feel badass. He doesn't feel like the ultimate being in the universe. He just kind of feels like he's just there. Queen Kong, or whatever her name, or Lady Kong, I think. I've only seen the movie once.
Queen Kong.
Oh God, Queen Kong. Lady Kong, I think that's her name. She has no presence. She has no sense of threat. She has no sense of menace, or she doesn't have anything, honestly. And I feel like her relationship with King Kong is a little bit forced, and the really stupid Indiana Jones, I'm afraid of snakes humor just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it feels a little forced. That is better, actually. Thank you. The special effects, they're not bad per se, but they're also not great. There's some bad blue screen shots, and there's some really bad inconsistencies with the King Kong suit, especially when Kong is walking on all fours. It just kind of feels awkward.
Yeah.
And the finale is entertaining because for once, King Kong actually wins, and that's probably the best scene in the film. But it's just underwhelming. It's an underwhelming film. Nobody really asked for the movie. It retcons the ending to 1976 film. It's just, in my opinion, it's like the Halloween 2 1981 of King Kong films. It's the most dull and it's the most forgettable of the entire franchise.
Yep. So my number 8 is also King Kong Lives. And you know what? I mean, you kind of said everything, so I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I think just the main reason, I think it's just the most forgettable King Kong movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain aspects that I think are, that can be appreciated. The special effects are all right. The some of the Lady Kong stuff is cool. But other than that, I don't really remember anything about it except for Lynn Hamilton. That's about it. And maybe the ending scene, like the military Kong versus the military scene. I remember that's about it. I don't remember it being. I don't think it had as much merit as the 76 one, and it certainly was a downgrade from that movie.
Oh yeah,
certainly. Yeah, I don't really want to dwell on that one too much because you just talked about it. So you can go to your number 7.
My number 7 is Son of Kong. Kind of like with Kong 33, a lot has been said about Son of Kong, but I think also for the wrong reasons. James Rolfe said in his review of Son of Kong that Son of Kong could have been more groundbreaking and, in other words, better than the original. And I actually have to agree. Had the film not been rushed, this is the biggest problem I have with Son of Kong. If the film wasn't rushed, I think it could have been better than the original King Kong. I think if they gave it either the exact same budget as the first King Kong film, or if they just gave it an even $700,000 budget, I think Son of Kong could have surpassed the original King Kong, which is why I have a sneaking suspicion that the studio gave the go-ahead to make Son of Kong, but then around halfway through, once the monsters started showing up in the movie, that's when the studio slashed the budget and said, make it, finish it by December of this year. You have this amount of money left to get the film done, and that's it, nothing else.
Yeah.
The characters are decent. The story does feel very cohesive. It still feels like the exact same continuity and the exact same timeline as the first film. There is a lot of really good connective tissue between King Kong 33 and Son of Kong. But like I keep saying, and like everyone else keeps saying about Son of Kong, the biggest drawback with the film is that A, it's way too short. It's only an hour and 9 minutes long. And it feels so rushed. All the monster stuff feels so rushed. All the stuff on Skull Island specifically feels rushed. The ending is extremely anticlimactic, and it comes right out of butt the fuck nowhere. And I've already given my opinion on how much I hate bullshit end of the movie earthquakes or tsunamis or volcanoes. I hate them. They just feel like such a lazy way to just quickly end the movie on a big exciting climax and then just have it end with a dud. That's how it always feels to me. Not much else to say about Son of Kong. It has so much potential. It had so much potential, and I for a while I really tried to like the movie, but in the general scope of things, I just really cannot bring myself to like Son of Kong more than just watch it either as a hardcore King Kong fan or just as a curiosity piece. That's about it.
God damn it. My number 7 is also Son of Kong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'd say that I think Son of Kong has merit to it. And
keep talking. We'll be right back.
Okay. I would say though that basically from here on, these are films that if it was on, I'd probably leave the film on. But if King Kong Lives was on, I'd probably change the channel. Probably. or I'd probably turn it off. But I guess from here on out, the rest of the Kong films I would keep watching, and that does include Son of Kong. Like Nick said, I do think it's a disappointment. I think in general there is so much more they could have done with it. I think that the effects, though they're good, certainly good. It's Willis O'Brien. It's just not up to the par of the original, and you can really tell how rushed it was by the effects. I do think the film does have a huge positive in that I do think the human plot of this movie is very good. And I think that they honed in on Carl Denham, which was probably one of my favorite parts about the original. So I do give him props for that. But just how rushed the movie feels and how of much of a downgrade the effects and like how it doesn't feel like as big of a movie. So just because of that, I'll put it at 7. But yeah, I still like it though. So
Part of my mouth being full. My number 6. Okay, this is probably going to be the biggest one that turns heads because I'm not listening to that. Yes, this movie has a lot of cinematic importance, but like I said at the beginning, this is all personal preference. So my number 6 is going to be the original King Kong from 1933. Yes, the movie pioneered a lot of filmmaking techniques, and it's one of the most classic films of all time. And there's so many filmmakers and movies today that owe so much to this movie. But whereas James Rolfe views Citizen Kane as an academic piece and not something to be watched for entertainment, this is how I view the original King Kong. I view the original King Kong as the Citizen Kane of monster movies. Yes, it created a lot of things for monster movies to use later. It pioneered a lot of filmmaking techniques, and it set the groundwork and set the roots for monster movies to take hold and really become their own thing. But that's exactly what it is to me. It's just the blueprints of a monster movie, and for me, it's just not that enjoyable. Everything with Kong is entertaining, like the King Kong versus T-Rex fight. Of course, that's fun to watch. The rampage in New York at the very end of the movie is entertaining. And the special effects are breathtaking, especially for the time. The movie is a big, giant spectacle, especially for its time. But just for me, there's a whole plethora of other giant monster movies out there that I love watching way more than the original King Kong. I really, really have to be in a certain mood to watch the original King Kong. It's not my taste in monster movies. And like I said, in the general scope, there's way more monster movies out there that I do like more than this. And that's just my feelings.
All right, this is where the list deviates. And Jack, I'm really sorry, but King Kong 1976 is my number 6. God, is this film boring? Oh my God. The effects are pretty good or they're pretty awful. There's some times where the suit effects look incredible, and there's sometimes where and I'll give a good example. The ending. I think the ending falls flat because when you see the terrible, terrible effects of the helicopters behind Kong, some of the worst effects.
The blue screen and green screen effects for this movie are just terrible.
I know it takes me out of it. Like when Kong actually physically hits the helicopter sets, I'm like, that looks cool and I can buy that. But oh my God, it sucks you right out of the seriousness of the ending. And that's probably one of the most important parts of the movie. I will say the human characters are, they're okay. They're maybe I like them a little better than the original, but I just find this movie boring. I think it took away a lot of the things that I liked about the original King Kong, but it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. It's a good movie, but I find it underwhelming in comparison, I guess.
You're not even close to being on screen, honey, so don't even bother. My number 5. This will surprise you a little bit. King Kong versus Godzilla.
This has grown on you. What?
Only because Godzilla makes any movie better. Duh.
That's true.
I've come to realize a couple things. Ishiro Honda should not have directed this film. I'm just going to say that right then and there. He should not have directed this movie. I don't know if Jun Fukuda was making films at the time back in 1962, but if he was, he really should have been commissioned to make this movie. Same goes for another movie that's way down on this list. Not going to say what it is, but if you know your Kong history, you know what it is, but just bear with me. Ishiro Honda should not have directed this movie. The classic Ishiro Honda style does not mix well with the Shinichi Sekizawa fun / dark / campiness of the King Kong and Godzilla stuff. However, where the movie does kind of grow on me a little bit is, of course, the monster actions, because Godzilla is just totally a walking tank all throughout the film. And of course, I am talking exclusively about the American version. I am aware that with the Criterion Godzilla collection, which somebody still won't let me buy.
It is pretty expensive. I'm not buying it.
I'm buying it. That does include the Japanese version of King Kong vs. Godzilla as a special feature, which I think that's really cool. But I still don't own it, and I still have not seen the Japanese cut, so I am exclusively talking about the American cut. But I feel the Universal monster movie music, like the Wolfman music, and especially the Creature from the Black Lagoon music, really does fit very well. Like the scene where Kong
I totally agree with that.
When Kong is on the raft and they blow it up and he just erupts out of the water with the Creature from the Black Lagoon music playing. It's awesome. It's so cool, and it gets me kind of pumped up. Oh, shut up. Yeah, but I know exactly what you're thinking. The actual first fight between King Kong and Godzilla is a little just kind of, it's like the first fight between Gamera and Barugan and Gamera versus Barugan. It's very experimental. It's very
it's not as bad as that first encounter. Oh my God, that was such a bad.
True. I mean, it's better than that, but it does remind me of that. It's very experimental. Yeah. It's very kind of safe and held back, if that makes any sense. But the second fight is, I will admit, it's very entertaining, and I do like how Kong and Godzilla do balance out each other's skills. Kong is the really fast and really agile speedster, whereas Godzilla is the slow but immovable tank. And the only issue that I have with that fight is the very end. Tomiyuki Tanaka himself at one point did declare King Kong the legitimate winner. However, he would later on go on to say that he did consider the fight to be an actual tie. The way that I see it is Kong ran off before Godzilla could finish the fight. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, you know what? I like that kind of ending. They can't get away with that in Godzilla versus Kong because it's so ambiguous. Because they purposely leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's frustrating.
No, where the movie really does suffer for me is all the human stuff. It's bad.
Mr. Taco.
Fuck off, Mr. Taco.
I'm sick of Mr. Taco.
No more. I'm sick of Mr. Taco.
Oh, I'm gonna make a shirt.
Yeah, all the human characters are just they're stupid, they're boring, they're annoying, and the comedic, jokey nature of all the characters just does not clash with the monster movie stuff. It does. It kind of has Sinister 2 syndrome in that case. Where you have the King Kong and Godzilla stuff going on, and then you have this dumbass human stuff, and it just doesn't mix.
Yeah, that guy who complains about his corns the whole time.
Corn. Oh, and the blue screen effects on the giant
Oh my
octopus are just horrendous.
They're so bad. Oh
Uh,
man.
Though that actual fight between Kong and the giant octopus is pretty entertaining, if it's a little short, I will admit.
Wow.
Which, fun fact, Eiji Tsuburaya actually did eat that octopus after they finished those scenes. Though the way they treated it was actually pretty terrible. In order to move where they wanted it to move, they would blow it with a hairdryer.
Yeah, I always wondered how they did that, but
Yeah, they used a hot air dryer to get it to move where they wanted it to move. But overall, King Kong vs. Godzilla, it does have some elements that make it a good film, but then there's the really bad elements that just make it such a chore for me to sit through. And I always remember whenever I would try to do a big Godzilla marathon, I always struggled to sit through King Kong vs. Godzilla. And I always will, because it really is such an imbalanced movie. It has good parts, but it's also got really bad parts. And unfortunately for me, the bad far outweighs the good. Carry on.
okay. So this is my number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Nick, but Kong Skull Island is number 5.
Fuck!
Now, I do want to get this out of the way. Everything from, oh god, what was my last one? Shite. What happens on my last one? King Kong Lives. No, not King Kong
No,
Lives.
it's Kong
76. Yeah. So I will say that from here on the list are films that I would purposely put on to watch. Everything else I would, like I said, Son of Kong in 76, I would probably continue to watch if it was on. Lives, I would probably turn it off. But from here on, I love these movies. It's just a matter of degree, basically. But this is a good movie. It's a fun movie. It is fun, but at the same time, the marketing was a little misleading, and what I expected, I think they could have done a lot more with Skull Island. They really should have honed in on the horror aspects that they kind of touched in 2005, but I really thought they should have explored more. But I do think it's fun. I actually don't have a problem with the human characters like a lot of people have with it. I think it's fine. I think
for one, Brie Larson is in a movie where I don't mind her being in a movie. Because you're talking to somebody who was not impressed by Captain Marvel and do think that Brie Larson was completely miscast as Captain Marvel. But we're not talking about that. No, we're not talking about any MCU stuff.
Fuck no. No, I don't actually. I actually like the fact that there's like 7 or 8 characters that are all interesting in some way and have a cool backstory.
John C. Reilly, fucking hilarious.
Yes, I hate that they killed off Bill Randa. He was a really cool character. I was pretty mad about that.
That's the guy with the grenade belt, wasn't he?
No, Bill Randa was the guy that got eaten. The monarch scientist.
Oh, John Goodman's character.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming either. That's not a problem for me, but I was like, God damn it, why did he have to die? Yeah. Same goes for their grenade dude. I did not want him to die.
It was kind of a funny scene though. It was like this guy's like trying to outsmart the monster, and it's like, dude, you're fucking dead. But yeah, in general, I think it's a fun movie. I think that maybe I hyped myself a little bit too much for it, and I think it's not something that's super sacred or serious. It's something that's just pure entertainment. I don't see anything deeper or more interesting about it, more than just a prequel movie. But I will say it is my absolute favorite King Kong design ever.
So, oh yeah, Kong looks badass.
It's a good combination of the original design with some other elements from the Toho design. So we'll see how the 2020 design looks. But as of right now, this is my favorite. So it's a good movie. It's just kind of underwhelming for me. Your number 4.
Sorry, Jackie boy. King Kong 76. King Kong 76 is an interesting film for me because it was one of the very first King Kong movies I ever saw. I do remember, I think it might have been actually the first, now that I really think about it, because I remember seeing it on TV, and then I remember going to see the '05 King Kong in theaters not too long after that. The movie's got some problems. What the hell is her name?
Jessica
Lange is annoying as fuck. Is annoying as fuck. And one of these days, I actually do have to show my wife that movie because she's a big American Horror Story fan. So, of course, she'd get a kick out of seeing young Jessica Lange. But she is ungodly annoying in the film. All of her dialogue feels so terrible, and it feels so forced. It's just cringy to listen to. The main male character, I can't remember his fucking name. I haven't seen a movie in a while.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges' character. He's probably the best character in the whole film. There's the human villain. Also can't remember his name. I can't fucking remember his. God damn it!
I want to say Fred, but I think that's wrong.
I think it was Fred. The oil dude, I'll just call him.
Yep.
He's definitely one of those villains where you just kind of you love to hate him because he's so over the top and he's so ridiculous, and all of his dialogue is so cringy, but it's also hilarious to listen to. It's just his performance is very fun to watch. Kind of like Doctor Who from King Kong Escapes, but not quite as fun. The special effects, like you say, I think for the most part they're pretty good, but there are some pretty bad elements. Specifically, the blue screen and green screen effects are pretty bad. They're a little bit better than King Kong versus Godzilla, but you also got to take into mind that that was like one of the first times that that team had ever used blue screen and green screen stuff, especially for something of that caliber. Sure, Toho did the Mysterians in 1957, and that was also the very first time they ever used blue screen. And there's only a 5-year difference between the two films, and it's pretty obvious that they hadn't still quite perfected it at 1962's case. But still, with 1976, the blue screen effects, in a couple areas, they're not bad, but for the most part, they are pretty terrible, especially in the second half of the film. Like the ending with Kong versus the helicopters. Seriously, dude? That they do look pretty bad. I also feel like the ending is just a little too mean-spirited. Like the filmmakers got a real kick out of seeing Kong get brutally massacred by all these chain guns.
Yeah, that was horrifying. When I was like, I think I watched it first when I was like 9 or 10. I was like, what the fuck is I was like, this is so unnecessary.
Why are you having this be so long? You could cut this in half and it would have the same effect. But when the special effects are good, they really are quite good. The suit effects are very well done. The Kong suit itself looks pretty damn solid. The rubber snake looks pretty bad.
The wall scene, I love the wall scene. Now the effects on that, if I remember, they look pretty good. The wall scene.
Oh, when Kong is smashing through the wall, yeah, that looks awesome. Like when he finally breaches the wall and he just comes out roaring, that is really fucking cool.
Good shit.
The biggest problem, aside from Jessica Lange's character, is the lack of fucking dinosaurs. Why? The only other monster that he fights is a fucking giant snake. How lazy can you guys get? Every time I watch King Kong 76, I really feel like this could be so much of a better movie if they included like maybe just a couple other dinosaurs, like have them show a couple Triceratops and a couple Stegosaurs, and then finally, instead of a dumbass, boring, bland rubber snake, include a giant T-Rex or some shit.
Yeah, I mean, even a Triceratops, that was supposed to be in the 96 version. Like, that still would have been cool. They could have done that. So,
but no. But King Kong 76, it's not a bad movie. I'd actually say it is pretty entertaining. Like if you're really into 70s cinema, King Kong 76 will be a blast for you because it's so 70s. It drips of being in the mid 70s. It's got good acting. It's got decent characters, except for Jessica Lange. The effects are really good for the most part. And it's not like an insulting remake like the 2019 Black Christmas or anything like that. As far as remakes go, I think King Kong 76 is one of the better ones. But it's not my favorite. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my number 4 is the original King Kong. This was a tough one to put at number 4, but I think when I just find this movie really hard to rewatch for some reason. The first time that I saw the movie, it was really really good, and I actually have the same problem with Gojira and Godzilla King of the Monsters, but I do like this movie. I think that the effects are really good. It's like, even I mentioned this in the little review that I did of this. Like, even the sets look really good. They're really deep. They have a lot of depth. It's believable. The animation is pretty smooth. There's a couple weird things that happen, like where Kong's hair will like flicker and all that because of obviously the movie model. But that's pretty minor stuff. The ability to blend certain effects, like layering and compositing and with stop motion, it's really impressive stuff. But I think that the story, it's not a boring movie. It's not like a ridiculously long movie, so it's not a terrible sit through. I don't know what it is about it.
For 1933, it's a surprisingly long movie. It's an hour and 40 minutes. That's pretty long for a film at that time.
That's true. I would say, and I don't exactly know why, because I do really like the movie. For whatever, I don't get the same charm when I rewatch it, but I haven't watched it in years, though. It's been like 2 or 3 years since I've watched it, so I might have to do that again soon. But the characters are okay. Jack sucks straight up and is annoying as fuck. Carl is pretty cool. The fucking Chinese cook, which is pretty racist by today's standards.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, and the fact that most of the natives, they look black, but a lot of them actually were not black. They were painted black.
They did that in King Kong versus Godzilla too, though. They painted the Asian people.
That's a little bit more insulting because A, it's not nearly as convincing, but also C, B, it's in color, so that makes it even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, and isn't it supposed to be? Isn't Faroe Islands supposed to be in the Pacific? Like, why would they have to make themselves darker than they already are? Seems kind of weird. Whatever. Who the fuck knows? Anyway, but yeah, I think that this film's good. I can still watch it. I could still purposely put it on. It's entertaining to me. The effects are awesome. Kong is pretty cool. I think the black and white gives it a kind of a creepy feel, and sometimes the New York stuff is actually really entertaining in my opinion. But
it looks dirty and gritty and grungy, just like it actually was at the time.
Yes, true. Depression. I would just say it just doesn't give me the same charm as the other 3 on the list. So that's my number 4.
Definitely also has the worst interpretation of Ann Darrow, in my opinion, even worse than Jessica Lange, because at least 2/3 of her dialogue is just her screaming and whimpering.
Yes. Oh, one more note.
So grating.
It is my second favorite soundtrack of all the Kong movies. I will say that because it does have really, for the time, it has really good sound design. Remember, like the first time they had like sound in a film was 6 years before, and this film had a full score, and it was a full soundtrack. So, what am I saying? Sound design. So, pretty impressive stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it's a great academic piece, but just watching it as a movie, it doesn't hold the same kind of substance that it does. So let's see.
3.
Number 3. King Kong Escapes. I just can't deny it anymore. Yes, I'll get this out of the way. The Kong suit looks bad. And It's a little bit better than King Kong versus Godzilla. It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. There's a lot of things with the movie that don't work. But you know what? It's just so goddamn fun. It's the epitome of 60s cheese for a monster movie. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
The characters are kind of boring. The second act really drags. A lot of the effects are very all over the place. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. And when they're bad, they're really bad. Mechanicong, as awesome as he looks and as awesome as he is as a concept, execution-wise, there does leave a lot to be desired. Considering Mechanicong has maybe, I'm being generous with this, maybe 8 minutes of screen time in a 97-minute long movie. Nah.
Yeah.
The actual fight between King Kong and Mechanicong when they're on the ground. Blackman
It's the quote from the Chinese cook. Oh god. Hey, crazy black man been here, and he has like the little neck. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm not.
Anyway, moving on. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the fight between King Kong and Mechanicong, when they're on the ground, it's really fun. When they climb Tokyo Tower, it's boring.
It's kind of weird.
And they focus on the wrong bullshit. But still, it's just a fun, bad movie. It's the epitome of if you want to get some friends together, get some pizza and burgers and beer, and just sit back and have fun riffing and laughing at a so bad it's good movie. King Kong Escapes is perfect cannon fodder for that.
Yeah. Well, number 3 for me is also King Kong Escapes. So, as somebody who strangely actually kind of enjoys the 60s cartoon, I know that's not an opinion I'm supposed to have or whatever. I think it's kind of fun sometimes, or whatever. This movie is a giant cartoon. It's a giant live action cartoon, and it's a lot of fun. The Kong suit is cartoony, but it actually works a lot better than the King Kong versus Godzilla one. And the proportions look a lot better. Like the arm extensions that they do have here and there, they don't look quite as bad. I believe they do have arm extensions. They don't look quite as bad from what I remember. I think there's some moments in this movie that are entertaining. Some make me laugh. And I mentioned this to Jack, by the way. This is the first interpretation, and I'm getting really pissed off because I can't remember the damsel's name right now. I'm really angry. I should know it, but okay. So yeah. So I was telling Jack, she is the first like Kong girl that didn't whine and scream the whole time. She like kind of tamed Kong, and which was kind of
at that.
Yeah, which is kind of like done by Jessica Lange and whatnot. But at least she was like, "Put me down, Kong," and she was like, at least she wasn't like screaming the whole time. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of, it was tolerable, but it was still kind of. But I liked the two male leads. Was Akira Takarada in this one, or am I thinking incorrectly?
Yeah, it was Akira Takarada.
Okay, and then some other American actor I don't fucking know.
Russ Tamblyn.
But they're pretty.
No, that was War of the Gargantuas. Crap. What the fuck is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Road Reason.
Okay.
Sorry, Russ Tamblyn was War of the Gargantuas.
So the two male leads, they're okay. I like them. They're not too bad. I think the best part about the movie is how batshit crazy it goes. You get Kong and the dinosaur. You get the serpent that he fights that he just fucking launches at the submarine. Do you remember that scene? He just picks up.
I totally forgot to mention something. Doctor Who.
Yes, Doctor Who.
Oh great my God, Doctor Who. I think. Oh my God, I might have to put him in like a top 10 list of villains. Like the top 10 most over-the-top, ridiculous, and chew the scenery type villains, because holy shit, You can tell the actor is just having a butt-fuck ass ton of fun playing this character. And
Oh yeah.
he's so fun to watch because of how he has these like really wicked, crazy eyebrows, and whenever he
Oh my
talks, he's like really exaggeratingly lifting up his eyebrows, and the over-exaggerated motion of his mouth, and his bad teeth, and slick back gray and black hair, and his all pure black with a fucking cape type costume. God, he's so 60s.
I know. I mean, I remember the dubbing being kind of bad, but it kind of played into it a little bit.
It was Burgermeister Meisterburger, for
Oh my
Christ's
god,
sake.
was it?
Yeah. Paul Frees provided the voice for Doctor Who in the American version.
You know what? I want to see a Doctor Who Mr. Taco crossover. Just the two most batshit crazy characters in one movie. Oh, I love it. Anyway, so yes, Doctor Who's fun. That girl that kind of worked with him but kind of didn't. That was kind of whatever.
Adam X.
Yeah, and then the scene where like the guy like grabbed her face. Was like, "What are you, Vietnamese, Filipino?" I was like, "What the fuck?" Oh god.
Hideo Yamamoto as Doctor Who. Thank you, Justin. That's his name.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie has so many fun moments, and Mechanicon is cool. Before Mechagodzilla, they came up with that idea before Mechagodzilla, which is pretty cool. So,
I still say I would have loved to see the movie Godzilla versus Mechanicon.
I find the concept weird.
Universal.
I don't know why. Mechanicon versus Mechagodzilla would be amazing, but fuck, I'll dream. Yeah. No, this movie is just so memorable. It's so much fun, and I can actually rewatch it and not be bored. I'd say this is probably the King Kong film that I've watched the most, probably. Yeah, I'd say. So I've kind of talked a little bit too long about that one, but either way, that's my number 3.
My number 2. This is the King Kong movie that I have undoubtedly watched the most. King Kong 05. What can I really say about King Kong 05 that really has not been said? I think it's one of the greatest monster movies ever made. I think it's easily one of the greatest monster movies to come out in the past 20 years. And I also think, well, this might be kind of new. I think this is Peter Jackson's best movie. Yes, he did Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I grew up with those with my father as a young kid. And I've seen those movies probably added up together way more times than King Kong 05. But whenever I watch King Kong 05, I am just transported back to a time where life was simple, life was fun, and giant monster movies were the greatest thing in the world. Everything about this movie to me just clicks. The production design, the fact that it's a period piece and it perfectly encapsulates 1933.
Yes.
The characters are great. I love Jack Black as Carl Denham. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Jack Black is amazing as Carl Denham. The effects are amazing. The giant bugs still send shivers up my spine.
Oh.
The spider pit scene is fucking awesome. It's creepy and it sends shivers up my spine, but god damn is it cool. Yeah. Kong is a complete and total badass. All the monster fights are entertaining as fuck. I'll admit the movie does kind of lose me just a tad when they get to New York City. But then again, there is the scene with Kong and Ann in Central Park sliding around on the frozen lake. That's one of my favorite scenes in any movie, period. I shit you not. The music, the cinematography, the editing, the colors. It's just a really nice scene to watch. The fight with Kong versus the V-Rexes is fucking epic as all living shit. The ending also does kind of leave me just feeling like, God, why couldn't Kong just live? That's actually one thing that the really shitty Peter Jackson's King Kong, the movie, the game, bullshit, long-ass GMK type title, gets right, is that the ending has Kong live and having him transported back to Skull Island. I would prefer much rather seeing that ending to the movie than the one where the the one that we got in the movie. Now, I will agree, this isn't really a flaw, but I will say I think Peter Jackson was just a little bit too focused on staying safe and staying true to the original 33 film and making it a little bit too similar. However, I still don't see that as being so much of a bad thing. He took the basic structure of the original 33 movie and expanded upon it greatly. A lot of people really complain, why is this movie almost 3.5 hours long? You know what? Why the fuck not? I don't have an issue whatsoever with this movie being over 3 hours long. I think that makes it a much better movie, in my opinion, especially if you're the type of person that is tired of having really short monster movies. Check out King Kong 33. It's way up your alley. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
Mhm.
King Kong 05, in my opinion, it's just one of those movies where everything just clicks, and it clicks just right. There's no real bad aspects of the film. I will admit some of the green screen and some of the CG effects do look a little dated. Honestly, I feel like the worst, not I say worst slightly, but like the weakest green screen and CG effects, and as awesome as this scene is, the giant Brontosaurus stampede. That's where I really feel like the green screen and CG effects have aged the worst, because there's a lot of really obvious and pretty almost bad CG and green screen effects. But I feel like they really tried to hide it, and they tried to make it look as good as possible. But there are some areas where the green screen does stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But other than that, King Kong 05, I just think it's a modern masterpiece. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It's easily one of my favorite monster movies of all time. And whenever I watch it, I just can't help but just be transported back to the time where movies were experiences and not just movies, if that makes any sense.
Sure. All right. So my number 2, where is it? There it is. The classic King Kong versus Godzilla. What a friggin' fun goddamn time. Now, I will admit, this film used to be my favorite Kong/Godzilla movie too, but I rewatched it the most recent time, and it didn't do it as much for me as it used to. I don't know, maybe it's because I've watched it like a billion times. I don't know, but this movie's so much fun. I would say I do. There is a couple of times that I do out loud yell and cringe at the terrible blue screen effects when Kong, both on the island when he's laying on the ground after he's passed out, and when they pass him out when he has the girl on that little building and he finally falls to the ground when they're like playing the drum song and all that, and then like the police officers and like military National Guard like walking all around. I'm like, oh my god, this is shit. But it's so much fun. It's so fun to see the two worlds colliding. I mean, this easily has my favorite Godzilla scene ever, where maybe not, where he the military, the first time he comes out and he just demolishes that military base. I love that shit. It's a great scene. I mean, they have every iconic classic thing about Godzilla. He comes out of the ocean, destroys the military, that shit. They have the classic stuff about Kong. He comes out of the island, breaks the wall, fights the monster. It's like the best, most iconic parts of the characters. Put them together, and the fight is fun. I think they made Kong a little too stupid here and there. Like he's like duh, like dude, he's not that dumb. But I would say, you know what? I'm gonna agree with you where you talked about how the soundtrack sounds good. Now, I have not had the chance to watch the original soundtrack with the Japanese version, but I will say the fight scene, the soundtrack, I like it. I think it fits.
From what I've heard, all of the original Akira Ifukube music for the Japanese version, the music is good, but a lot of people say that it really does not fit the film, and it's not really all that groundbreaking. They say it's a case of generic Ifukube, if that makes any sense.
I'd have to see for myself one day. But yeah, I don't actually mind the Universal soundtracks over a lot of this stuff. The human characters are silly, but they're entertaining. The guy, Miss Machako, the corns guy, the guy who has the fucking there's the other two guys that go to the island. The guy that like really skinny guy who somehow talked to the natives, who also had this like the radio and the cigarettes. Yeah, the guy, he had like the radio, and I think the other guy had the cigarettes. Either way, they're friggin' fun characters. And wasn't the corns guy that swung around that totally fake plastic lizard, rubber lizard or whatever, when it attacked him on the island? One of those guys. He was like, this movie is so goofy. It's so much fun. And I would say I think some of the cringiest stuff is actually the American characters, because they do this thing where the Japanese characters find Kong and the American characters find Godzilla. It's like a Japanese America thing when they're like Godzilla and then he comes out. It's like, right.
Yeah, it's pretty painful stuff too.
I will agree that the first meeting of them is kind of underwhelming, but I think the story actually does a good job of balancing the Godzilla plot of him on the train and all, or coming to the train attacks and all that crap, and the Kong stuff with the balloons and all that. I think they do a good job of balancing that, as goofy as it is. But I think the end fight is fun. Soundtrack is good. And I don't really like those American newscast interruptions, because they do have actual Japanese ones, or do they? Or were those added in? Because actually, the Japanese guy talking is not dubbed at all; he's speaking English. So all of that, so all of that might actually be added in the American version. I think it's stupid.
I think it was.
All right.
Also, one more thing, I do still find it to this day very impressive the fact that Shoichi Solomon Hirose in the King Kong suit was able to fucking suplex.
Oh yeah.
Not an empty Godzilla suit, but Haruo Nakajima was still inside that Godzilla suit, and he fucking threw him over his shoulder inside the suit.
Yeah,
That's
probably
judo
weighed
threw the guy. Pounds. Huh?
Yeah, judo throwed him.
Yeah. I believe that suit probably weighed at least 180 pounds. And then Haruo Nakajima probably weighed, he was really skinny at the time, so he was probably, let's just say 160 pounds. So do the math.
Yeah. That's I would love to see that
without the aid of wires over his shoulder. I'm just like, damn. Probably needed a masseuse after that.
I think he fit the Kong suit really well, and I would say I would love to see them redo that judo throw in Godzilla vs. Kong. Oh my god, I would flip my shit. But no, this is a really fun movie. It's goofy, but it's not the kind of goofy where it's like, oh, I'm so tired of this. I think it's funny. I think I have a good laugh at this movie. Some of it's a little ridiculous. The squids. That's good. Oh, I forgot about that. The scene where all the natives are throwing their sticks and stuff at the squid.
You can actually see like the shadows of the sticks as the like. If it feels like they put a green screen. They put a green screen in like the corner of a room, so whenever they throw a stick at the green screen, you can see the shadow as it hits the corner and falls to the ground.
Oh my god, it's terrible. But then again,
the green screen effects and blue screen effects in this movie are just horrendous.
Yeah. So in general, I still love this movie, and it's still a lot of fucking fun. So we know what your number one is.
What else can it be? My number one is Kong Skull Island. I went into this movie, I was excited, but I didn't really expect to like it as much as I do. I still do consider this to be both one of my favorite films and one of my favorite monster movies. And almost instantly when I first saw it, I was just like, okay, King Kong 05 has now been toppled. As much as I hate to say it. Great characters, a good cast. It's decently gory. It's decently violent. I feel like they could have pushed the gore and the violence just a little bit more, but I feel like shortchange is compensated for the fact that the monster action in this movie is fucking phenomenal. And I will also agree, this is also my favorite King Kong design. To me, this is the definitive King Kong.
Yep, I agree.
The effects are phenomenal. The fight scenes are great. John C. Reilly's fucking hilarious. You look better than a hot dog and a beer sitting in front of the Chicago Cubs game.
I'm gonna cut you by the end of the night.
I'm gonna cut this knife tonight. Oh God, he's funny. Great cast, great use of Samuel Jackson. For once, Brie Larson is not. It just doesn't make me want to put a bayonet through my eyes. Tom Hiddleston's great. The movie's sense of humor it's not forced. It's just clever writing and it's funny. Overall, Kong Skull Island is another case where even more so, everything just clicks. Who the fuck is calling me? Or is that you?
No, that's you. Just ignore it. Keep going.
I'm ignoring it. Yeah. Overall, Kong Skull Island, it's a masterpiece. I really do not. A certain YouTuber that I used to follow, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to start any YouTube drama, especially with me first coming back. There's a YouTuber that I used to follow who said with a completely straight face, in all seriousness, that that Kong Skull Island is the worst King Kong movie ever made. I just cannot take him seriously after saying that, because has he not seen King Kong Lives? Has he not seen it's a bad movie, technically, King Kong Escapes? Has he not seen Son of Kong? Good fucking Lord. How the fuck can anyone with a straight face, in all seriousness, say that Kong Skull Island is a bad movie, let alone the worst King Kong movie ever made? I just cannot take that person's opinions on film seriously anymore after that.
Oh. So is that all you had to say about that one?
Yeah, and I don't know how the fuck my dual review of Kong 05 and Kong Skull Island became my most watched video on my entire channel.
Yes.
I think bordering on 7,000 views. How?
And the quality of that one is actually pretty crap too. There was a lot. There was a lot of errors in that video, like up front, like the pixelation and all that shit. Actually that re-edit that I did of yours is actually your most popular re-edit on my channel as well, I think.
Again, why?
I don't know.
I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy that it is,
Yeah.
but I have to ask, like, why?
Who the fuck knows? Is all you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, Kong Skull Island's a masterpiece. Anyone who says it's bad, there's got to be something wrong with you.
You know what I think it is? And I'll talk about this just like right now before I go to my number one. I think it depends. I don't think people, I don't want to say that, but I think it depends on what you want from a King Kong movie, because I don't know, because I think some people like hold King Kong as like this serious, sacred, cinematic, epic A+ movie thing. And when Kong Skull Island came along and tried to be like purposely goofy with it, or purposely fun with it, it kind of like threw people off a little bit, I guess. Whereas like I mean, obviously Toho, they kind of made King Kong Escapes goofy and all that, those early movies goofy, but they weren't like setting out to, hey, let's make a movie that's going to be made fun of and ridiculous and all these goofy characters and all that. Like they were just making a movie, you know what I mean? I think with this one, people were like, why are they purposely making this high budgeted movie like fun and goofy? I don't mind it. Obviously, I like the movie a lot. But
How is that a problem?
I just think people don't expect that from a King Kong movie. That's all I'm saying. Because they're so used to the character being, and maybe that's a fault. Maybe that's a fault of the King Kong not having enough movies. But I think in general, people
Doesn't help.
I know. I just think in general, people aren't as, because people say Godzilla could be in anything ridiculous, but I think people just aren't used to that shit with Kong, at least. But whatever. Oh, great. Now we're gonna talk about my number one. Oh man. Let me look at the comments that I might have missed first. A lot of people commenting.
He's a crackhead.
Hello. Okay. Number one. Here we go. My number one is King Kong 2000. Yep. This actually is my second favorite movie ever. So there is this movie. I have a lot of memories of when I was really young, because I think when it first came out on DVD, my parents bought it. So I must have been like 3.5, 4 when we first watched it as a family. I remember being scared, but also kind of like mesmerized by it at the same time. And it wasn't until actually years and years later that I rewatched it. Maybe when I was like 11 or 12, because I got kind of hyped about 2014 coming out, and I was like, oh, kaiju and monsters and all that. And I rewatched it, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. And I have the extended edition and all those special features. I think the movie, it's just a magical movie. It has aspects of horror, it has aspects of adventure.
It probably is the darkest King Kong film.
Yes. It has some aspects of like romance, love kind of stuff. It has it's just a fun, it's able to be fun and adventurous, but in like an epic, serious way. And I don't mind the again, I do have to rewatch this one too. It's been like a year and a half, but
it's been like honestly, I haven't rewatched it since I did my dual review, so I'll have to give that another shot.
That was like 2018. But I will say that I don't actually mind a lot of the filler stuff. I don't mind like the extra characters in there, like Jimmy and all these like extra people to throw in, because I think it's cool. I think it's a good way to do a remake where it's not just like yes, technically it is beat for beat in a lot of ways, but it's beat for beat with a lot of added story that makes it feel new and fresh, which I really appreciate. Yeah. And I would say it just nails it on everything. I would say that there's a couple places where the effects might be not great, but this is a very well aged film. Like very, very well. Like think about like go ahead.
Peter Jackson is also one of those directors that knows how to effectively use a budget to its fullest extent. Kind of like James Cameron. Not quite as much as James Cameron, but Peter Jackson is certainly very close. I'd say he's about as good as Steven Spielberg in that sense.
I would just say, think about this. Think about the fact that Godzilla 98 came out 7 years before, and compare how realistic those effects look. Now, yes, the effects do get way better every time. Every year they get like better, but just comparing that and even comparing it to other films in 2005 and 6 and 2004, it ages so well. And I feel like every year that I talk about this movie, I still say it ages well, and it's like it turns 15 in December, which is nuts. But I think Kong is great. The design is not my favorite, which is probably the biggest negative in this movie. Is Kong? I think he's too small, and I think his design is kind of but I would
think it works for the context of the film, because this is about as realistic of a giant. I think that's about as big as a giant gorilla could feasibly and realistically be without people saying he's too big to be crushed under his own weight.
That's true. That's true.
So I agree with you there. And admittedly, King Kong 05's design is also not my favorite. Hang on one second. It's not my favorite as well, but for the context of the film, it works perfectly. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
And I'll agree with that, actually, when I think about it now. It does fit, I would say, the world, but in general, it's just not my favorite in like a abstract.
I also like that they actually gave a Latin name for Kong's species, Megaprimatus Kong, I believe.
True. Yes. The human characters, Jack Black is kind of like a back and forth kind of thing. I'm not sure if I think he's great as Denim or not. But then again, we've only ever had 2 interpretations of Denim, so it's kind of hard to tell. But I like him in the movie in the context. I think he's a good character. And then Anne is great in this movie. Naomi Watts is really good in this movie. Her relationship with Kong is actually interesting and something that I definitely buy. And Jack is given something to do. And then other characters like Englehorn and Preston and Jimmy and all these random characters, at least they're entertaining and they're not like crazy black men and all this crap. So, and the score. Oh my God. The soundtrack of this movie is amazing. This is my favorite soundtrack ever of any film I've ever heard. And maybe I haven't been exposed enough to anything else, but if you listen to even like one song, it has like this wicked different emotions and like themes. It's like triumph and like mystery and like horror, suspense, romance. It's like it's such a
I
good
think
soundtrack.
my favorite piece of music is the drum beat that the natives play in order to attract Kong.
That
That's
is pretty
probably
cool.
my favorite piece of
Yeah.
music in the entire film.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Because it's eerie, it's creepy, it's foreboding, but it also has a great sense of buildup. And finally, when Kong like erupts out of the forest, it's crescendo. It's just like holy shit! It's a big
Yeah.
jaw dropper.
And you know what? Although I will say that I think Skull Island had a really cool take on Skull Island itself, this is still my favorite Skull Island. It's easily the most believable, and it's easily the most fantasy, I would say. It's
And most violent.
yes, the landscape is nice. The creatures, oh my god, probably the best creatures of any of these films.
The creatures that make me cringe the most is all the bugs, like those big
Yes.
fucking 2-foot long centipedes in that rotten tree stump.
Mhm.
Still make me shit. And
Yeah.
the spider pit scene is fucking great. Even though I remember when I first got this on DVD, I watched this with my stepdad and my mom. My mom was just had like the covers rolled up around her, and we were watching that spider pit scene. She was like, "Oh no!" And my stepdad were just laughing the entire time because she was having a borderline panic attack watching all these giant bugs. Because
Yeah.
this is the same woman who I put a rubber snake in the toilet and made her scream. Yeah, you
Rubber
can give me
snake probably-
that.
Rubber Snake probably looked better than 76 prop.
Maybe.
And I would actually say one thing to point out: the ending of this movie. When you say that, like, you're very disappointed that Kong dies, I think that's actually the point. I think that they did such a good job of getting you attached to this Kong that the ending you feel it extra hard, but that's still the point of the movie. The point is that he dies because humans are ruthless and whatnot, and they shouldn't have fucked with him in the first place. I think it makes it
Justin, let us not forget the penis-shaped worm.
oh
that
man.
eat gold. Yeah, the ending, it does like hit you in the gut because the movie did such a great job in getting you attached to this version of Kong. But I still feel like it's just a little too mean-spirited, and Peter Jackson was a little too focused on making it the same ending as the original 1933 version. I wish they could have gone with the PS2 version where he wins and he's transported back to Skull Island.
You know what? I'll disagree with you in the context of this movie, but having King Kong survive the Empire State Building, maybe in a different like interpretation, I would be okay with. But I don't know. I still think it's a good ending. Either way, we can disagree on that. That's fine. It's like minuscule, but everything about this movie, the visuals, the characters, the sets, the effects, the Kong himself, the ending, the story, everything is friggin' amazing about this movie. I think the natives are pretty cool. They're freaky. Like the natives,
fucking evil.
yeah, it's like chocolate. Want some chocolate? Yeah. God, he's such a goof.
Oh right, yeah.
God damn it. Yeah, but no, I think
they're so evil. You just want to take a machete and gut every single one of these bastards. They're just so nasty and just ugh. And they're also not painted black.
Yes. Oh my God. Jeez. Yeah, I would say that it's my second favorite movie. You can guess the first. I'm pretty sure I've said it before, but it's oh yeah. And my third is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, the first one.
Yes.
Do you like those movies?
Spider-Man 3 is my third favorite superhero movie of all time.
Dude, Spider-Man 3 is fucking awesome. Anyway, yes, so that's
a difference.
Oh, definitely. We can, if you want to ever do those, I will definitely review all three of those with you.
Actually, I'll keep you in mind.
Okay. So that is the Kong rankings. I think in general, when comparing it to Godzilla, God, does he need more movies, King Kong? And I think they need to take more risks. I think Skull Island was a risk that, I mean, financially it paid off really well. And the general consensus was that it was a good movie. People clearly went to go see King Kong in a new movie, in a new way, not the same old story. I think now this might be totally wrong. I can't predict the future. Peter Jackson's film will be the last remake we ever see. I don't think it's going to happen again. I just don't see it happening. Even like another modern take on it, the same story like 76, I don't see that happening ever again. So I think
That
that
was not a lot of luck.
yes, I think that they need to expand Kong a little bit. Whether they do that TV show, whether they try to do a new
Yeah,
more
I was
movies,
going to mention that.
they just need to do more because he's like, I mean, it's ridiculous. He's only had 8 movies and he's been around so he has like a movie every 10 years, every 11 years or something like that, some average. It's definitely not enough, but we're seeing a resurgence. So I mean, this will be the keep going.
I did see a little bit of that video that you did on like voting who is more popular and who is more iconic, King Kong or Godzilla.
Yeah.
I do still have to give it to Godzilla, partially because he's had much more exposure. And I kind of view King Kong and Godzilla as how I view Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Michael Myers certainly did lay the groundwork. And I compare the original Halloween to the original King Kong. It took the blueprint. It laid the blueprint for future films to come. And Friday the 13th is the original Godzilla. It took that formula and it just ran with it. This is the reason why I say that I like Jason Voorhees way more than Michael Myers, and I think that the Friday the 13th series is consistently better than the original Halloween series. Granted, yeah, Michael Myers is in many ways much more iconic, and in many ways, King Kong is debatably more iconic than Godzilla, but I still have to give it to Godzilla. That being said, however, you cannot forget where everything comes from, and you cannot forget exactly how much King Kong has changed the way of cinema. If it wasn't for King Kong, we wouldn't have Godzilla. If it wasn't for Michael Myers, we wouldn't have Jason Voorhees.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Godzilla, we wouldn't have Gamera.
True. Yeah, all very true. But yeah, so
if it wasn't for DC, we wouldn't have Marvel.
Well, DC's better anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway.
Yeah, nowadays. Yeah.
Okay. That is our list. I've been wanting to do this goddamn video for so long, but now that Nick's back, that's exciting. And he'll have stuff on his channel.
Yes,
We'll do this shit all the time. I'll have to get him on a podcast episode at some point.
Yes.
Maybe you can join that Godzilla versus King Kong iconic thing, because it's not just going to be like simple. I'm going to do categories of that. It'll be a fun discussion. So go subscribe to Nick. I put his channel in the comments. I'll probably put it in the description or whatnot, or the live chat. I put it in. So any final words you want to say? Obviously you can plug, but
yeah, I'm gonna get the plug out of the way. I did a video yesterday, but my stupid ass didn't remember how to actually keep the video up, so it's not there anymore. So look forward. You do? Hang on.
Yeah, your update video, right? What you're doing.
Is it long or short? Because I did a much longer video yesterday.
20 minutes.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, your second update video. I watched it. I used the image to make a thumbnail view in this.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that. Okay,
I didn't
never
get
mind.
a notification though, which is weird, but I don't know. Whatever.
I'll just give a very brief reiteration of that. Okay, I didn't even know that I uploaded that. Look forward to a lot more content coming out. I've had a lot of ideas come to me in the 8 months that I was on my hiatus. To give a very brief reissue, I have a series that I have called Zombie Sploitation, where I review every single zombie movie that I own. Because when I first moved into my new place, for some reason, I was watching a lot of zombie movies. I am going to do another superhero binge series, though I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to do it in pieces, not all in one go, because that's what killed me the first time I did superhero binge, in which Ryan was joining me for only 2 episodes of that. We did Batman versus Superman together. We did the 2003 Hulk together.
Love that movie.
Honestly, you know what? I kind of now have to agree with the criticisms. Unfortunately, the movie has kind of gone downhill for me. I still do like the movie though.
Well, that's what's good about film is that you change your opinions all the time.
Mm-hmm. And I am going to be doing another big, giant, epic monster movie review series. I'm going to review the Godzilla movies again. I'm going to review all the Kong movies again. I'm going to review the Gamera movies, various American monster movies like Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, Them, Tremors, and stuff like that. We're reviewing all those again. I'm going to review other Toho monster movies. Yeah, I'm going to be doing all that again. I know that that's what really solidified my channel, and that's where I got the most views, and that's where I had the most fun. And I want to recapture that again. And also my opinions on a lot of those movies has changed since then. Like, for example, I no longer consider Godzilla versus Mothra from 1992 to be my least favorite Godzilla movie. And I also don't consider Destroy All Monsters to be as bad as I initially thought it was. So there's a couple minor spoilers there. Yeah, look forward to a lot of stuff. Now that I am free and I have my own place and me and my wife are no longer living in a what was that called when the Nazis were ruling over the Jews?
The Holocaust?
No, it wasn't the Holocaust. That was the mass killing.
Fascist, authoritarian.
Something like that. Yeah, like not. I know I'm no longer living with a fucking Nazi. I can actually do shit that I want to do now. Look, yeah, I'm free and I can do whatever the fuck I want. So look forward to a lot more content. Look forward to a lot more guest videos and a lot more videos where I'm on Ryan's channel here. Honestly, during the 8 months that I was gone, he was the biggest supporter and he was the biggest one that stuck around and helped me get through all of my hardships. Of course, I have my wife, and she and I went through it together, and we came out of it stronger than ever. But also, Ryan was the biggest one to give me the most support aside from her. So, and I thank him from the bottom of my heart. And I've been looking forward to doing this video for a very long time myself. I had a blast doing it, and so thank you very much for having me on this. I had a shit ton of fun.
I did too. I can't even comment on this thing. My computer's so slow. Yeah, so that's fun. I'm excited for all that stuff. And I'm excited to get you on stuff again. We'll have to get you and Sean and everyone together for like one big stream again. But oh god, that'll be fun.
Shut up, John.
So if that's all you have to say, that's all I got.
That's all I have to say. Yep.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe to Nick. His links are everywhere. So